Thirsty Thursday down in Mobile, Alabama. That's why, right? We are remote. Our good friend David Coney's on a travel ban, about to have beautiful baby at number 3, so he is back holding it down in Nashville. He's our Jon Snow with the sword over there, obviously joined by my brother as well. David, a lot of stuff to get into today. We got to catch up with Kalen DeBoer, the new Alabama head coach, yesterday at the Senior Bowl. A couple of us got to kind of corner him underneath the stadium in a good way, at least to this point. He hadn't coached any games yet. But I'm really loving the fun facts that you're dropping out in the cold open. Everybody make sure you hit that subscribe button. We got live call-ins, going to open up at 7:15 a.m. Central. But we've got a ton to get into. But, David, drop some knowledge on these people. The one you had yesterday still, I want to remind people of the stat that you threw out yesterday. There is no, and this is just crazy to me, there is no player from Alabama that has ever scored a point in a Super Bowl. Not that transferred from Alabama to somewhere else, but that was the stat, correct?
Yeah, no player that finished their career at Alabama scored a point in a Super Bowl.
Alabama.
Okay. So I guess that won't include, like, Joe Namath threw a touchdown, Bart Starr, Kenny Stabler. Those guys threw touchdowns, I believe. Jalen Hurts ran touchdowns in last year's Super Bowl, but he finished at Oklahoma. So that one was a crazy stat for sure.
So you can't really claim Jaden Hurts if you're not.
No. Here's what I say. You can't have it both ways. Either you say, all right, we don't claim Jamison Williams, but we'll claim Jalen Hurts, or we'll claim Jalen Hurts, right? You can't have it both. You can't say Jamison Williams is a Bama guy after he transferred from Ohio State, but Jalen Hurts is also a Bama guy because he transferred from Alabama. Like, I don't feel like both those things can be true. You got to pick one. That's where I sit on it. But that stat, David, just still continues to blow my mind. I was talking with Andy Staples yesterday, kind of walking through the hallways up here, and it was just a baffling stat.
Well, I need a fun fact from you guys. Did y'all go to Bluegill without me or not?
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
And look, here's another fun fact. Oh my God, it was as good as I can remember.
Ooh.
We got the oysters.
Oh, look,
Rockefeller.
We got reggae oysters, and we got some Rockefeller oysters. I'm more of a regular myself. Rockefellers aren't bad. Let me tell you what I got. I got two Krabby Patties.
No.
Yes, no, Dave. Obviously, we started with some tuna dip because we're grown.
Oh yeah, we got tuna dip. Of course, I'm an American.
We're grown ups. Jake, I believe you got the po' boy.
Yeah, I got the fried shrimp po' boy with the voodoo sauce and some hush puppies on the side.
Ooh, Dave, make
sure I got cleaned up.
I got 2 crab cakes with some fried green tomatoes under them with some crawfish sauce on top of it.
So there's our fun fact, David. What do you got, bud?
What'd you eat last night, Dave?
Yeah, well, yesterday was the last day of the carnivore diet that I've been trying to stick to.
Yeah.
But today I'm going all out, even though it won't be bluegill. Fun fact of the day, the only NFL franchise to appear in 4 Super Bowls and never hold a lead in any of those games is the Minnesota Vikings.
Four Super Bowls, they've never had a lead.
In the 70s. They were in the Super Bowl in 70, 74, 75, and 77. Those were the Fran Tarkington years. They had the Purple People Eater defenses. Never held a lead, though.
Man, that's another good one. That's not as baffling as the one before, but that one's less surprising because I don't expect anything from the Vikings. But all right, let's get into it. The NCAA is in a big-time fight with college football. We're going to break it down. Alabama's new head coach, Kalen DeBoer, stops by to talk about how the job's going, and we've got some crazy rumors flying with Arkansas basketball. Check it out and more on the Thursday edition from the Senior Bowl. It's Crane & Company. Tennessee and Virginia have both filed lawsuits against the NCAA, having to deal with basically the NIL and the way it was handled in recruiting through the transfer portal, etc. Now remember, the NCAA is going after a collective that is attached to the University of Tennessee, but nobody is employed by the University of Tennessee. So we're seeing what's happening at Florida. We're seeing what's happening at Florida State. We're seeing what's happening now at Tennessee. And if you can go after collectives and there's not an employee that's attached, whether it be about NIL and the transfer portal or with recruits, you are opening up a bag to go after everyone. And I've been told from people I trust, there's a couple of big-time schools that you should find about here in the next couple of days or maybe even early next week that are going to join this because the NCAA is going to come after them. Here is where the NCAA made their biggest mistake. They continue to think that they are the big dog, but they are really a paper tiger. Why would you not, instead of going after these universities and saying that you're going to ban them from the postseason or there may be scholarship reductions retroactively when there really is no rules in the first place, why not go to them and say, listen, whatever has happened to this point, let's grandfather it in. We're going to try and set some guidelines now to be able to button this thing up. And if the schools still want to sue you or take you to court for some antitrust lawsuit or saying that you're prohibiting the players from making money the way that they're supposed to be able to in the country we live in, that's a totally different story. And I don't think it would go down like that. But when you threaten them, when you're so used to having power, when you're so afraid that you're losing your grasp on power, that you threaten to hurt them or to hit them where it hurts the most, don't be shocked when you have everybody attached to that school and then a group or a collective of the biggest schools that have been taking part in the NIL come after you from a law standpoint. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, NCAA, you're not going to win this one. We've heard multiple coaches say that there is not a chance in hell that these players or the representatives for these players are going to lose a legal battle when it comes to them being able to collect a paycheck for NIL. So how about the NCAA takes a page from one of our favorite movies, maybe not David's, but one of ours, Step Brothers. Febreze Brothers, man, it's a fresh start. We didn't have a lot of rules early. Let's button this thing up. Everybody's grandfathered in. Nobody can get in trouble. But from here on out, let's make sure we have some rules that we can all follow so this thing goes smoothly. But that would be too easy, and that would mean that they relinquish some power. And those clowns are not going to do that with the NCAA. All right, so I'm going to bring in my co-host, former Michigan quarterback David Cohn. I know he's got some interesting thoughts on this. My brother Blaine Crane as well in the chat. We want to know what you think. It's been buzzing over there. I do want to take a couple seconds out to say thank you guys for the growth that we've had. Went and looked at the numbers the other day. We are just up an incredible amount from where we started this thing, and it's because of you guys, and we really love it. It's the Booster Club. It's the call-ins. So we just want to thank you guys buying the merch, doing those things to help us keep doing what we love and try and help you get through the morning or whenever you listen to us. But, David, NCAA, why would you not – it's not even suing for peace, right? It's trying to come to the table where you can keep your power if you go about it the right way. And if they want to spit in your face and take you to court, well, you did what you could do. You tried to help them out as much as possible, and it was always going to go this way. What do you say?
Well, the good news is there's too much money in college athletics and specifically in college football for this thing to be completely derailed. I think the powers that be across the landscape of college football are seeing, man, this is not good. And we have more and more coaches. I know we're going to talk about Jeff Hafley now leaving for the NFL. We just saw Jim Harbaugh do the same thing. College coaches like Mike Krzyzewski and Roy Williams are leaving left and right, even sometimes earlier than they otherwise would have. People are seeing this, people who stand to gain a lot of money. And I think they realize there's more than enough money to go around, even when it comes to revenue sharing with college athletes. Everybody can get a slice of the pie. Now, the NCAA, they lost the Ed O'Bannon case and they lost the Austin cases. That's where all of this really started, to say, like, no, you can't prevent college athletes from profiting off their name, image, and likeness. And we can talk ad nauseum about NIL and pay for play being two different things. But at the end of the day, if the football program and the university wants to pay a kid to come there, they can just put it under the NIL category and say, well, we're paying a kid for his name, image, and likeness. Now, how does that get tied to his on-field performance? Can you then kick him off the team and remove his scholarship? Those are all things that need to be addressed, and they have needed to be addressed. So the NCAA, when they lost those cases, immediately have turned to Congress, right? Like, and I feel for the NCAA at times where they're in between a rock and a hard place saying, okay, we can't create any guardrails, we can't create any rules or we get countersued or we get overturned in appeals court because it's seen as being exploitative of student athletes. So they've turned to Congress. We've talked to Senator Tommy Tuberville. We've talked to Senator Ted Cruz. They've let college athletics go off the rails until Congress acts. So my question is, why then do you still pick and choose which universities have broken rules? If you're waiting for Congress to create a uniform set of guidelines, then why are you calling out Tennessee specifically or keeping LSU players from being able to play because they signed autograph 3 years ago, or calling out the University of Michigan and forcing the conference to penalize these programs? That's what I don't understand. Like, get with Congress if that's the way you want to go. I'm still not convinced that anybody in Washington, D.C. needs to be worrying about college athletics. We need to create a governing body where football is completely separate from the other sports. But on Tennessee and Virginia specifically, now suing the NCAA, just remember it was only a few months ago when the University of Michigan also got very defensive about the Big Ten stepping in and suspending Jim Harbaugh, and they were going to leave the conference and they were going to fight this in court. And it was only a few days later that they capitulated and Jim Harbaugh accepted his suspension, which, looking back, hey, that was the right move. You won the national championship. Let's just move forward and forget about it. It'll be interesting to see how bullish Tennessee and Virginia remain in this lawsuit, because at least for right now, it looks like everyone with power in the state from a legal and a congressional standpoint is getting involved to fight the NCAA.
Yeah, and Blaine and David, I want your thoughts on this, and in the chat as well. We're going to get there. Remember, if you donate and it's on topic, we are going to read that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Here's my problem. I get what you're saying, and you know what? There are times where I do realize that the NCAA is in a tough spot, but it seems like every time the NCAA is in a tough spot, they do the stupidest thing. They're not going after an employee of Tennessee, right? They are going after the collective that is attached to Tennessee, right? And a collective that is attached to other players and other programs as well. They can be fair game. So if you're going to go after the collective, you got to go after everybody. And I'm telling you, Georgia, it's coming. Ohio State, it's coming. I'm from people that I know. Tennessee and Virginia you think people are going to the border to help Texas right now? Wait till you see what this turns into with the NCAA coming after collectives. You don't go and just invade the other country when you get pissed off. It's better to maybe try and find a way to work around it before you send troops to the other side. And the NCAA is just like, they're just like the petulant child or the bully in the playground that's gotten hit in the face and he doesn't know how to react. So instead of trying to figure it out, he just goes nuts and goes off the rails. I don't understand why you wouldn't go and say, listen, guys, all right, we know that there's a big problem in between both these institutions, right? The NCAA and what college football is trying to do with NIL. Let's start fresh. Right? Let's, from here on out, here are some guidelines that we can go by. Do you agree with these? Do you agree with these? Let's mold it together so we can operate. And maybe that could keep the NCAA hanging on the raft like Leo DiCaprio, because Kate Winslet ass wouldn't scoot over. It'll take them longer to freeze to death. But that's not what they're going to do, David, because they have too much pride.
Yeah, go ahead, Blaine. I want to see what Blaine has to say, too.
Well, I think this is the NCAA trying to be relevant. I really think you can feel them losing power, and this is what happens when they panic. It reminds me of kind of what Jake brought up earlier. It's like you go to an unexplored country, right? You go and you think you're the biggest, baddest guy up there, and the next thing you know, it's 2 a.m, you hear a bunch of Indian signs outside, and your whole village is burning down. Yeah. Right? This is what that is. You're walking into the jungle of teams who don't give a shit about what you think, all right? They don't. The NCAA is slowly figuring out that y'all don't matter. No one cares what y'all say anymore. There is no rules. And look, I know you're hamstrung in certain situations. That's fine. But anybody who thinks the NCAA is going to come out and make the right decision, buddy, I can sell you some beach property in Kansas pretty quickly. They never do. The NCAA is slowly getting away from college football, and it is the best thing that can happen to college football. I promise you. Get them out. Go. You're not going to win this, Once Georgia, Ohio State, Tennessee, and Virginia get in this, NCAA has pretty good lawyers, but it's like suits over in Athens.
Yeah, Harvey Specter's showing up, just waiting on the NCAA to like walk in the building.
Well, the college presidents are going to have to be the one who have that final say, because the situation we're dealing with right now is whenever the NCAA comes after one specific school, every other school in the country is like, see, yes, we need some standards and rules, and that program is always cheating. And you can see it with Tennessee right now. And they haven't helped themselves because they've been under investigation so much. So obviously there is something to that. And we've talked about how, yes, there clearly is something not being followed from a compliance standpoint. I'm not saying that Tennessee or Michigan or whoever else, hasn't followed the rules that actually do exist. Of course, if there are rules that are blatantly being violated for competitive advantage, yes, we need to hold programs accountable. But, whenever the NCAA comes for a certain school, then fans say, no, the NCAA is corrupt in this instance, but when they get my rival school, then of course that program is cheating. Like, enough is enough, guys. As college football fans, we all need to stand up and be uniformed here and say, hey, yes, we need a governing body. We need rules that we adhere to, so when we break them, our program or another program is held accountable. But the NCAA has proven time and time again that they have failed in that mission.
Yeah, well, the rules, I agree with you, David, 100%. But you can't punish somebody for breaking a rule that's like, you can pay players, ... Kinda.
Yeah,
I mean, that's basically what the rule is.
Yeah.
That's why Donnie Plowman was like, these are the most vague and contradictory rules. Like, read the rules. Like, it's if you look at them, I totally understand. And listen, 99.999% of the time, we're going to get to the Booster Club, when your rival gets in trouble with the NCAA, you are rooting for it, right? You are like, that's why we always talk about people like, oh, we want our rival teams to do good. Stop lying to me. Stop lying to me. It's like you don't want to finish second in the bake-off at your local county fair just because the old lady's been making the apple pie for 60 years. You want to win that, right? Did you see World War II? Yeah, but I'm trying to win this bake-off. But when you know it's scary, when Tennessee gets in trouble and you see a bunch of like Georgia and Alabama fans are like, yeah, get them. Get the NCAA. That's when you know you're in trouble, because they can see it coming down the pipe, because this is about the collective. That's what I think is the craziest part about this whole situation. But I want to get to the Booster Club. All right, let's go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to pick up my phone.
Jeez.
All right.
Hey, everybody watch Jay pick up his phone because he dropped it this morning.
Nobody's looking.
All right, let's start off with S. Boone. What is up, my brother? He says, what is stopping all the schools from completely ignoring the NCAA together?
Bro, how long I've been saying this? David, how long I've been saying this? Mm-hmm. Since Penny Hardaway told the NCAA at Memphis, they're like, yeah, Penny, you're suspended. He's like, nah, I'm not. I'm not suspended. You're suspended. Like, what would they do? We talked about this with Michigan. They literally came out in the college football playoff, said, we're not worried about this Michigan, like, Connor Stallions thing. It really doesn't matter. The college football playoff's separate from what's going on with the NCAA. I would just say no. Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Send troops to Knoxville to stop the game? Like, that's the whole point. And all it takes is one person saying, no, we're just not going to do it. We're just not going to comply. Because, again, what are you going to do about it? What's the NCAA going to do? So I think that would be a good step, in my opinion, when you're in the right. You know what I'm saying? But we're getting to a point where the NCAA, like Blaine was talking about, there's going to be a breakaway with at least Power 5 of college football. This is doing nothing but speeding up that process. And this is what happens when you have to build the parachute on the way down. And when you just roll things out with no rules, this is what happens. It's the same thing like I said yesterday. It's amazing the parents that shelter their kids till they turn 18, then they go to college and absolutely lose their mind the first time they go to a party or the first time they have a drink. It's the same thing. When you let the monster out of the hut and he starts ripping villagers apart, you can't be shocked. You can't be shocked. So that's where I'm at.
Well,
let's go to Bama Bob.
Yeah,
go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say the one person who is going to stand up and probably have to say no is going to be Greg Sankey. Like, that's where it's probably going to start, is with the SEC as a full conference, not an individual school. It's probably going to be Greg Sankey leading college football again, just like he did through the pandemic.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be the Big Ten.
No.
I'm sure we know that. Let's go to Bama Bob. I'm pretty sure he's talking about Tennessee right here. He says, screw that. They low down, they dirty, and they some snitches.
Yeah, look, this one, if you've ever followed the Alabama-Tennessee rivalry, I mean, this one goes back deep. And there was some tattletaling going on. There were some codes broken in this. But at the end of the day, Bama Bob, I promise you want this to go Tennessee's way because Alabama's got a collective too. And I can promise you, they can go after Tennessee. They can go after if they're going to go after Georgia, then they are not afraid to try and tackle any of the Pacific Rim characters that we see in college football right now.
All right, guys, make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe button. If you do donate and it's on topic, I will read it immediately. If not, we'll definitely catch it in the show. And feel free to ask your questions. Go to Broken Devil Dog with the $5 donation here. Appreciate it. So what NCAA is the enemy again now that Michigan is not being targeted? Is it always funny till it's your school, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's again, it's being able to see the beach through the forest, right? And you have to find out what they're going after. This isn't, hey, you got, like the old school, you guys paid a kid or you guys broke contact rules of when he can come on campus or anything like that, a little bit what we saw with Michigan. They're going after the collective. They're going after the way the collective operated, whether it's through the transfer portal or whether it's through the recruitment. So I will say this again. This is a pipeline case, which means they're going to start stacking up different schools behind this. So, again, if you are a fan of a big-time school, nobody's safe out here. Nobody's safe out here. So the NCAA's biggest enemy, outside of being itself with the way they operate, is the power over college football. That's what they are fighting for, and that's what they are losing, and they are making desperate decisions, in my opinion, to try and hold on to that. This doesn't feel like the pettiness toward Jim Harbaugh, right? This doesn't feel like, oh, they just dislike who's leading the Tennessee program, so they're picking and choosing which rules to enforce to go after this person. No, they're going after the collective. And at the end of the day, that opens up a broad spectrum to go after everybody else. And I'll say it again, you're about to hear some schools' names that's going after that the NCAA is going to go after that's going to add some more monsters to this fight against them. It's like, listen, Napoleon beat the coalition a lot of times, all right? But they threw the coalition at him 7 times, all right? And the guys that are teaming up in this one, you're not beating if you're the NCAA. Just remember.
And I'll tell you another way the NCAA doesn't help themselves when it comes to procedure. I'll say the same thing here that I said when it came to the Michigan case. Tennessee has received no notice of official wrongdoing. How does that happen? I mean, if I turn right on red where I'm not supposed to, and everyone else does it, but I'm the one who got caught, the police officer comes to my car and says, here's what you did, here's your ticket, you report to court. Not this game of, well, we're going to leak to the media that you're under investigation. Yeah. You're not allowed to comment on it, but we can. And oh, by the way, we're not going to issue any notice officially of wrongdoing until we want to, and we desire, because you then would have 90 days once you receive that. So we're going to wait. Oh, and when did they drop the notice of allegations on Michigan? On signing day. So yeah, get ready for Tennessee. Yeah. Sometime when they're the most vulnerable or when it'll hurt the most, the day before the Alabama game, let them know that they receive a reduction of 15 scholarships or something. Again, those are the type of ways that the NCAA doesn't do themselves any favors.
No, and we're gonna get back to this topic. I know it's hot for the Booster Club. We have some people that want to call in and talk about it. But speaking about procedure, we all know that working out in the routine can get a little boring, right? Maybe that's what's causing you to maybe not hit the gym as hard, maybe not go as much. But why do you need the gym, right? When you have FitBod, all right? With 1 month this year down, New Year's resolutions, some have been broken, some are still going. We know most of them have been broken, all right? Let's be honest with each other. We can do that. And if you're burnt out, all right, or even if you're going strong, if one of your goals is to work on your fitness, you need to check out FitBod. As you get stronger, like I said, sticking to the same old routine can lead to a plateau, right? You got to hit that ceiling, but you got to keep the body guessing. All right, what is FitBod? It's an app that creates personalized workouts based on your goals, abilities, and gym setup while helping you track and visualize your progress along the way. It's like the best personal trainer possible, but it's even easier and it's cheaper. FitBod learns from your previous workouts, it adapts as you improve, and it will also switch up your exercise to avoid overtraining or burnout. We use FitBod, helped us get in shape for the movie. Hell, I lost 45 pounds. David, how much you lose?
31 by the time we started filming.
31 by the time. Blaine, you lost what, 15?
Yeah. I mean, I lost 15. I didn't know I was working with the guys from whatever. What was that show back in the day? The Biggest Loser?
Yeah. You were already in better shape than the rest of us. You were already fit.
Okay, that's fine, but I didn't know y'all were just going to carry the boats for 3 months.
Well, look, that's what happens when you get FitBod. And you can get FitBod, all right, your personalized workout plan, and get 25% off your subscription or try the app free at fitbod.me/booster. Yeah. That's fitbod.me/booster. fitbod.me/booster. Hey, it's about to be beach season, all right? Y'all got to be looking good out here. Y'all got to be looking. Maybe you're single, ready to mingle, trying to find that perfect person. Walk down the beach with a six-pack because of FitBod. I guarantee you to make it a lot easier, right? So just check it out. fitbod.me/booster. Get in better shape and make your shape better. All right, let's get to rapid fire.
All right, rapid fire.
Maybe
first
the best
one up.
Slogan comer-upper with ever.
First one up.
Right,
Ravens defensive coordinator Mike Macdonald, a year removed from being the DC at Michigan, coaching under John Harbaugh, is now going to be the next head coach for the Seattle Seahawks. It's just interesting that they moved on from Pete Carroll to hire what will now be the youngest coach in the NFL, and he comes from the defensive side of the football. Obviously, I'm big on this hire, but how do you guys feel about the Seahawks moving on from Pete Carroll just to replace him with Mike Macdonald?
Look, it's one thing to move up the ranks. It's another thing to shoot up the ranks the way Mike Macdonald has. I mean, this just really doesn't happen. You don't see the happiest person right now is Jesse Minter. You want to know the Ravens' biggest fan outside of when they play him next year? It's Jesse Minter. Because watching Mike Macdonald, and we heard a lot about him at Michigan, then obviously he moves on to a Baltimore Ravens organization that you want to talk about buttoned up, that understands who they are, how to hire, how to bring in players that fit what they do. That organization, even though they had that devastating loss recently, that was big for them. I like the hire. Coaching is turning more and more into a young man's game. It really is. And we feel like we're getting younger and younger with coaches. Quarterbacks are starting younger and younger. The thing I like about Mike Macdonald, is I do feel like he is in tune with the younger players of this generation, but he has kind of an older way he goes about it. He seems very mature beyond his years, right? And you have to be to move up the way that he has. I think he's going to bring a quiet intensity to the Seahawks. Obviously a little bit different than Pete Carroll. Let's be honest. This wasn't the Ravens' first guy. This wasn't their first one in line. Felt like it got to the point the Seahawks got to the point where they had to take a chance on maybe a young guy that they believe in, and that's what they did. And you can get him for a contract that behooves, obviously, the Seahawks, because it's a big deal for him. You're not having to reach out there to get him to throw the whole bag at him. But I like the hire. Here's the thing with guys who have not been head coaches at a certain level yet. I say the same thing about Jeff Lebby at Mississippi State. We just don't know. I can tell you about what I think about Billy Napier. I can tell you about what I think about guys who just went through their first year. But until you actually see a guy do it, until he has to go through the role of being a head coach, which is so totally different than being a coordinator. People always ask me, what's the difference between being a coordinator and a head coach? Well, it's like being a Secretary of State and then the president. Yeah, you may work next to each other. Yeah, you may both have power. But it is a totally different job when you have to not disassociate yourself, but split your time from the meal you make best. We talked about Arthur Smith yesterday, David, going to the Steelers to be the offensive coordinator. Will it work out? Well, guess what? He was a head coach. Now, yeah, he did call the plays. Yeah, the NFL is a little bit different, but you don't have to do the periphery stuff now that a head coach had to do. You don't have to pretend like you care about each phase as much as the other one. This is your best meal. Mike Macdonald now, he's in charge of all four courses, not just the entree. We'll see, but I like it. I like the direction the NFL coaching hires are going. And maybe the Seahawks looked at what the Texans did, hiring a young defensive guy in D'Amico Ryans, and saw how that worked. And they want to working with a quarterback in Geno Smith that has shown progress to take some pressure off the offensive side. But I'm always going to look at who you hire. That's how I'll know.
Blaine, the NFL is clearly going younger and younger with these head coaches. I'm surprised that Mike Macdonald was given a shot this early. But if there's a situation to go to, it seems like like Seattle's a great place. Pete Carroll, at least for now, is still going to be in the building. That organization has won a Super Bowl in the last 10 years. They're also a buttoned-up organization. I don't know what they're going to do long-term at quarterback. How do you feel about them sticking with Geno Smith or not? But are you surprised Mike Macdonald was given an NFL head coaching opportunity this early, and do you think he'll have success?
No, I mean, if there's going to look at anything when it comes to NFL and coaches, the success, I don't think you can go wrong with hiring a Ravens defensive guy.
Yeah.
I really don't. And kind of remember when Seattle was the team, what was the best side of the ball? You can talk about Russell Wilson, Marshawn Lynch, all that. It was defense, right? Bobby Wagner. Shout out KJ Wright, Cam Chancellor.
Pete Carroll's a defensive run game guy.
Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, Richard Sherman. That's when Seattle was Seattle. And you kind of, Bobby Wags, right? Said Bobby Wags, KJ Wright. And look at the defense they have right now. I mean, Devin Witherspoon's a problem.
Oh, yeah.
All right?
Oh, yeah.
Probably one of the best, if not the best rookie performance when it comes to defense. I mean, Quandre Diggs, phenomenal. You flip to the other side. Kenneth Walker, young. DK Metcalf, young. Jackson Smith and Bigma, young. Charbonnet, young. You have pieces here, but it all starts on that defensive side of the ball. That's where you're going to fix things. Devin Bush from Michigan, great piece. Derek Hall from Auburn, great piece. Young guys, I think this is a phenomenal hire, but you have to get a quarterback, and I think it's this draft you have to.
Wait. You don't think Geno?
No, to sit behind Geno. Mm-hmm. You already need to invest in your future, in my opinion. I think Geno will maybe have a couple years left in Seattle, in my opinion. Geno's not the future for the Seahawks.
Yeah, I agree.
He's not. There's a guy in this draft right now that can be your future, like a Spencer Rattler.
That's why I said Bo Nix yesterday. That's why I said Bo Nix would be great. We would be great to sit behind Geno for a couple seasons, who has plenty of good years left in him. And if there's an injury situation, Bo Nix is experienced enough, and there's others in this class, Sam Hartman, like you guys interviewed yesterday, who could start as a rookie or a second-year guy if they had to. And another reason that they could go quarterback this year is because they've drafted so well the past 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so right now they're in the first round, sitting at the 16th pick.
You could find look, as deep as if you did want to go quarterback, even though I wonder if they'll kind of wait, see who falls even later to that, maybe pick up another piece to try and win early, with Mike Macdonald. Because I think the Seahawks, like you said, David, they do have some promise here in the near term, even though they have a new and unproven head coach. So it's going to be interesting to monitor that situation.
All right, next one up, former Boston College head coach Jeff Hafley is going to join the Green Bay Packers as their defensive coordinator. Again, just another example, guys leaving the college game to go take NFL jobs, even when it's not the head opportunity. So, you've been big on Jeff Hafley at Boston College for a while. How do you feel about this, Jake?
I think he's more of an NFL coach than he is a college coach. And you say, Jake, what do you mean by that? You can either coach ball or you can't. Okay, but there are levels to it. In the NFL, you're not dealing with recruiting, right? You get to literally pick from the players who are available, unless it's Eli Manning or maybe Caleb Williams and they decide to turn you down. You get to pick who comes to your organization. There is no school. You know what class is? Football. It's football all day. And Jeff Hafley, when you take those things out, schematically as a defensive mind, as a motivator, you let this man get locked into a facility and not have to worry about all this NIL and all the other stuff you have to deal with now as a college football head coach. The man's a wizard. He really is. I mean, it's like Jonah Hill in Superbad with the dice. That's his only move, right? He's not the greatest recruiter. He's not the best at going in there and fundraising for Boston College. And I tell you what, if I was Jeff Hafley and my ass looked around what was going on with the ACC, I'd probably be trying to get away from Boston College too, the way it's going. Because if there's going to be any casualties that we see from a breakaway Power 5 and a Group of 5, maybe a Power 5 team having to drop below to a Group of 5, I don't think they're going to be, and I don't mean any disrespect to Boston College, but I don't think they're going to be lining up to beat the door down at Boston College as compared to some other places. So I think Jeff Hafley kind of saw the writing on the wall. You survived this year. There was a lot of pressure on you at the end. You found a way to go 6-6 after losing to Holy Cross at the beginning of the year. But there's some guys that I think translate to the NFL even better than they do in college. And I think Jeff Hafley is one of those guys. I think he's going to do a hell of a job. I think it's a great hire for the Packers. I'm excited for Jeff. I hate to see him leave college football, but I actually think this is one of the rare instances, David. I think Jim Harbaugh is the same way, if we're going to be honest. I think the way Jim Harbaugh operates is better for him in the NFL overall with the way that college football is going as opposed to college. Obviously, he's a great college coach, but some guys are just a lot better when they don't have to deal with the recruiting. Nick Saban wanted to deal with recruiting because he was one of the best at it. He wanted to be a part of that. Not saying Jeff was afraid to recruit, but I love the fit, I love the hire, and I think he's going to do a daggum good job. Which, you want to talk about some young pieces? You want to talk about some room to grow? Look at what the Packers are doing. I think it was a great hire and a great decision by Jeff.
Yeah, Packers look like they're going to be good for a while. All right, let's move on to this Arkansas basketball situation. So Devo Davis has had left the team. He's been without the team for, 48 hours now? I can't find much information on exactly what's going on. What are you hearing?
Okay, I want to preface this by saying this is rumors and allegedly. There we go. But the what's coming out of Arkansas, and I've reached out to some buddies of mine, they haven't been able to deny it, is absolutely wild. There's not another way to put this. And again, this is alleged and this is rumors. And I've got a lot of respect, and we here at Crane & Company have a lot of respect for Eric Musselman, number one. And I know it's been kind of a down year, but you are hearing some crazy things. What has been said, and again, want to get out in front of this is rumor, is allegedly Devo Davis and Trevin Brazile, all right, two players on Arkansas's basketball team, had a relationship, okay? A romantic relationship, especially put allegedly. And apparently, the Houston transfer, Tremont Mark, I think I'm saying that right, had a situation go down with another one of them where they basically got together, and it pissed Devo Davis off. Okay, and there's this love triangle between three of the players in Arkansas's locker room. Again, this is what is rumor that's allegedly that's coming out there. I'm not saying it's fact, but if you follow the bouncing balls, something is not right in this locker room. You're hearing Eric Musselman may want out at Arkansas. So this whole situation, all right, now remember, Brazile was a preseason SEC Player of the Year candidate, and Arkansas has fallen off a cliff. But guess what happens, guys? And I know Missouri struggled this year. Arkansas, Devo Davis leaves the team. This gets kind of flushed out in the open, and Arkansas probably plays their best game of the year last night and beats Missouri on the road by 17 points. So I am not saying this is true. What I'm telling you is to monitor this situation, and this is a very oddly specific rumor to be brought up and not have some semblance of some kernel, of some grain, of some truth to it. It's just a crazy situation.
That's wild, man. So Devo Davis is not with the team at all right now?
No, he said has left the team. Blaine, what do you say? What do you say?
My thing is this, all right? And I don't care, all right? I don't care who you love, who you go home to. You know, it's kind of go back to the Michael Sam situation, if y'all remember that. I don't care if you're gay. Can you sack the quarterback?
Yeah.
All right? I don't care if you're gay on the basketball court. Can you score a basketball?
Yeah.
Can you run the offense? And look, I've always said this, and you can quote me on this. The best teams I've been on, you know,
are the closest.
We're the closest, right? Yeah. You know, we're slapping asses, we're tapping cups.
Yeah.
Right?
It may get a little weird at times.
Yeah, you want it to get a little weird at times, but there's a difference of getting a little weird and why are you texting me at 12:30 at night? You know? So there's levels to it. This is crazy to hear, to be honest, if it comes out as true. But I'm the type of guy, like, I just care how you play.
Yeah, no, right? Listen, nobody say it's not, oh, man, listen, I don't care if you're gay, straight, or bi. If you're dropping 25 and giving me 11 boards, dude, we'll slap hands and look each other in the eyes the whole game.
I mean, I'll go play tennis with you.
Yeah, like, look, we'll do whatever. Like, we'll have a tea party. I don't care. Just make the plays. Like you said, Michael Sam. Look, be gay, but be the best gay pass rusher we've ever seen in our life. Like, go get the quarterback. So, again, these are rumors. This is alleged, but we just want everybody to monitor this because this is a very crazy, crazy situation.
This is such a, like, this is a type of thing, like, it's so specific, like, no way it's made up.
Well, it's
who would come up with
again, what we always say, the answer's somewhere in the middle, right? It's probably somewhere in the middle.
Social media
there's your
crazy.
story, there's my story, and the truth's probably somewhere in the middle. But it is just, it's something to monitor. And again, like I said, Arkansas played outstanding last night.
Yeah.
That's the craziest part about the whole situation.
We have a lot of callers in Arkansas, so maybe someone will call in today and tell us what they're hearing down there.
Oh, I'm sure. Heartbroken Hog, man. I don't know how much more that guy can take.
Y'all going through it right now.
To be honest with you.
Speaking of putting up 25 and 10, you see Zach Edey with 30 and 15 again last night?
Hey, big shout out to Northwestern.
Covering.
Big shout out. Yeah. Big cover by Northwestern, baby.
Look, here was some really good college basketball.
I had the over.
Night.
That thing, they almost scored 200 points, man.
Yeah. There's nothing like having that over and the game goes into overtime.
Vandy, how could you? But thank you.
Yeah.
At the same time.
It's exactly right. Auburn destroyed Vandy. They should have. Bama.
I tried to tell you, Blaine.
Came back on the road. They were trailing Georgia by a lot. Big win winning any game in college basketball now on the road. Is huge. Then Florida goes and takes down Kentucky. I don't know how many times I got to say it about Calipari until y'all start listening.
There's something so sweet. And look, I love all my Kentucky people out there. All right. But it's something so sweet watching y'all lose basketball games. There's just something, it just warms my heart.
Well, here's why.
To watch Kentucky.
Here's why.
Lose basketball.
You're in SEC. You grew up in SEC country. All we watched growing up, and if you loved college basketball, you remember how it was. David, you remember how it was in the SEC early on. It wasn't pretty. It was Kentucky. Then Florida had their run. Every now and then Tennessee would be good, but everybody else was hot flaming garbage, right? It was just Kentucky. If you beat Kentucky, your year was made. The best compliment I can give the SEC is Florida beat Kentucky on the road last night, and Florida's not ranked. Did I think that was the craziest thing I'd ever seen, or oh my God, somebody won it rough? No, I'm almost immune to it now with Kentucky losing, but they just continue to lose with the best players. Like I will continue to say, Mark Stoops does more with less than just about anybody in college football in Lexington, and John Calipari does less with more than just about anybody in college basketball. And it's just the truth. At some point, y'all going to start listening. Thank God he had Anthony Davis, or he wouldn't have one. He wouldn't have one if you didn't have that alien that landed here 300 years ago and decided to go to Kentucky. So it's crazy right now in college basketball in general. Nobody can win on the road. The NCAA tournament's going to be great. I can't wait. Absolutely can't wait. But you want to get to the Booster Club here, Blaine?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, let's go to the Rumble chat real quick. Let's go to Bro Drew. What's up, man? He says, in the Arkansas case, just make sure don't follow the bouncing balls.
Yes. Yeah, that's actually a great way to put it. On either side of it. That's funny.
All right, let's go to RPB. What's up, my brother? He says, with the zoo going on in college football, do we see more young college coaches leaving college football to go to the NFL?
No, I think it'd have more of an effect on the older guys that are kind of used to the way it's always been. I think the younger guys will always adjust. Look, I think Jeff Hafley, I don't think this is an opportunity that comes to a lot of people, right? We've seen guys obviously go to the NFL before. A lot of times it's coordinators that are going with the head coach, or it's coordinators that are going to be a position coach. We really haven't seen a lot of head coaches that are in good standing go to the NFL to be a coordinator. So this is kind of a different flavor of ice cream. We're seeing different goat paths, as I call them, being laid down. Great example is seeing Sean Lewis, the head coach at Kent State, leave to go be the offensive coordinator at Colorado. You've seen Kane Womack, a good friend of the show who we saw yesterday, leave South Alabama as the head coach to go be the defensive coordinator at Alabama with his buddy Kalen DeBoer. So I think what you're seeing isn't that there's going to be some overhaul of young coaches. If there's going to be any overhaul of changing of the guard, it's going to be like we saw in college basketball with the old heads getting out. But I think what it's going to create is some new paths to guys getting where they want to go, and we're starting to see some of those form right in front of our very eyes.
All right, we had a couple things from Heartbroken Hog here. You knew it would come up. He says, he can't believe y'all are giving this air to this Twitter nonsense. This is literally nothing substantial. This is a pile of poop emoji.
Well, it's again, that's why I said a legend and it's rumor, but I've seen a lot of people that are connected with the Arkansas program talking about this. It's a situation to monitor. Nobody's saying, hey, this is exactly what's happening. We have proof that this is happening, or we have a source that says this is happening. What we're doing is looking at the whole situation and saying it's a situation to monitor. Us here. We're not going to just throw something against the wall and hope that it sticks. But I've seen enough people that I have respect for within the Arkansas sphere talking about this. Do I personally believe that it's 100% true? No, like I said, there's my story, there's your story, and there's some answer in the middle. And look, a lot of things happen when teams are losing. Our teams are underperforming. You hear guys, this has happened in the locker room, this has happened in the locker room, whatever. No, it's just something to monitor. It's a very interesting situation.
All right, let's go to Ethan Jacobs. Ethan, what is up, man? He says, what's the stock boosters stop? He put stock, but he meant stop. You see how I caught that there? What's to stop boosters from digging up real criminal activity on the NCAA people?
Well,
it's a dirty game. It's a dirty game.
Look, it's like politics. I mean, if you have a shared interest, or if there's something you can do for the other person, or as Dr. Evil would call it, squid pro quo, then you're going to go through that channel. But if we get to the point where boosters are now looking up individual criminal information on people that work for the NCAA, we're so far past the game. I mean, we're in House of Cards territory right now. I think it'll just be broken away before any of that happens. But that's a funny thing to think about. I tell you what's not funny, if we're going to be honest with each other right now.
Tell them, son.
It's trying to start a business and not getting any help.
It's not
maybe trying to start a podcast, not knowing how to sell merch, right? Maybe just being overwhelmed, because I don't think a lot of people, and I've had people reach out to me that are like, hey, Jake, y'all's story's great. I want to start a podcast and this, that, and the other. How do I do it? Well, one thing that you must do is you have to hook up with Shopify. All right. And what is Shopify? They are the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business, from the launch your online shop stage. Woohoo! Everybody's excited. Look at me. Hold the baby. To, oh, wow, did we just hit 1 million orders? Wow, I'm going to put a pool in the backyard. Mama's glad she married me right after high school.
Just bought a tire.
All right. You need Shopify for that. All right, our marketing team uses Shopify every day to sell our merch, and we love how easy it is to add more items, ship products, and track conversions. They take the grunt work out for you. They make it efficient, which helps you win. We always say, work smarter, not harder. So no matter how big you want to grow, Shopify gives you everything you need to take control, to take your business to the next level. So sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/crane, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/CRAIN, Shopify, SHOPIFY.com/CRAIN, now to grow your business no matter what stage you're in. That's shopify.com/crane. Check it out. It's a fantastic platform to be able to use, and it makes it a whole lot easier. Thank you to our friends at Shopify. Let's get rich, y'all.
Cha-ching.
All right, David.
Next
cha-ching,
up.
Cha-ching, cha-ching.
Kalen DeBoer's interview. I want to hear what y'all talked about.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
All right. We and a couple other reporters got to hang out with Kalen DeBoer yesterday at the Senior Bowl VIP sesh under the stadium. Got some good questions in, talking about culture. Yeah, we're best friends now. We're going to go do karate in the garage later. So, all right, Kalen DeBoer, new Alabama head coach at the Senior Bowl with Crane & Company.
Every moment is a learning moment, and enjoying it along the way.
How do you feel about this coaching staff that you put together so far?
Yeah, I think it's an elite group. I think there's experts at every position, and a lot of these guys have worked together. There's some new faces that really looking forward to getting to know even better. But I think the biggest thing is that these guys, really want to do something special together. And these guys are all low-ego coaches that are going to leave it at the door and do what's best for our program when it comes to the choices and decisions that we make each and every day.
I know you and Coach Womack go way back. Obviously, you've enjoyed him for the last 3 years here at South Alabama. What is it like to add him to your staff, and how meaningful has that been to see him here at Tuscaloosa?
It's amazing. The year we had together was really special at Indiana, and I learned a lot about, not just what he was as a coach on the football field, but who he was as a person, and why he does what he does. And he's been super successful wherever he's been, and leading the defense. He's going to do an amazing job.
How do you think former Alabama players are going to adapt to your new scheme?
The current ones?
Yes.
I think that our systems are going to be able to adjust to the personnel we have. And yes, there's staples, there's a foundation to everything we do. But, I think that we'll continue to learn who our guys are and what their strengths are and make sure we're always catering to it.
What does it like to see Michael here and just, your former players there at Washington here at the Senior Bowl and doing big things, obviously before their NFL career?
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to all the players you've coached, it's emotional to see them at this point and doing what they love to do and getting to this level. But especially since the last time I saw them, we were getting off a plane after the national championship game. I think it adds a little extra to it as well. And seeing Eddie and Roger is just an awesome thing, because this is their goal and their dreams that lie ahead of them as far as going on to the next level. So they're achieving it and excelling at the same time.
Coach, your culture's worked everywhere you've been. You come to Alabama, their culture was obviously working with Nick Saban. How do you kind of balance, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, but it's been working your way as well?
Yeah, I think that you still uphold the standards that are in place, and the expectations are certainly aligned with what I want to do and what's happened here in this program for a long time now under Coach Saban. But I think everyone understands that, there's only one Coach Saban, and there's different ways of doing it to be successful. We will, want to uphold those traditions and all those things that have made this place special. But, everyone will have their own fingerprints on it when it comes to what we do offensively, defensively, and obviously myself as the head coach.
Have you had a chance to come up for air? I know you play the national title game a week after you take the Alabama job. Have you had a chance to kind of rest for a few moments?
No, not at all. But that's okay. That means that there's a lot of people pulling in a lot of different directions, and it's been fun getting to know our team. They're doing a great job on campus, really kind of steady now in their workouts, and out on the road, just meeting a lot of new faces and enjoying it. The Alabama logo means a lot down here in the Southeast, and so it's been really fun. Here these last 2 weeks being out and about.
You get to see one of your first-round draft picks at wide receiver. What's your recruiting pitch to those guys at that position, knowing how much you've developed into the highest level?
Yeah, when you put it that way with two potential first-round draft picks, I think it sells itself. But, you really dive into how we got to that point. It's, scheme and all that, but it's a lot of development. And that's going to happen not just at the wide receiver position, but across the board in our football team.
Coach, you get to see one-year-old between Pac-12 football and SEC football, any noticeable difference?
I think there is. I mean, this level of football here in the SEC has been at a high championship level for a long time, and I think every part of the country has their own style. Physicality is what wins championships, and I think that's what that's what a lot of what we do is going to be based on. But I think football is also football no matter where you go, and our stuff will also translate to wherever we've been. And I've been in the Midwest and at other places in the country, and just making the jaunt from the West Coast to the Southeast. I think all the things we do will translate over.
How cool is it to see Michael Penix? He went through a lot before he got to you at Washington, to see everything work out so well for him.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. Just kind of in 5 minutes, a snapshot of what he's gone through and what he's all worked for, and realizing that dream right now, and really in the best place he's ever been. When it comes to 2 to 3 years now of being healthy and just continuing to develop and grow. Just all he's been through has prepared him mentally, for this type of scenario, to where the pressure is the pressure, but he knows and has the confidence that he is going to be just fine if he just does what he's capable each and every day.
Coach, in the off-season, when it's hard for the coaching staff to spend as much time with the players, how beneficial could it be for Jalen Milroe to be around a Brailsford, be around a Bernard, where they can just talk player to player about the offense?
Yeah, from a staff standpoint, we're really looking forward to next week to being around our guys and spending a lot of time with the team, back on campus. But those that have come with us from Washington, there's certainly an understanding of, even the system, and what certain concepts are called and how we teach them. So hopefully back on campus, they're picking up on those things. Jalen with, Austin, and as well as, having a center like Parker there, knows all the calls, and we can hit the ground running here next week when it comes to installing offense and defensive systems.
What was the thought process bringing on Kane Womack as the defensive coordinator?
Well, I just know he's really good. I saw him every single day in practice there in 2019 going against him, and I think he's just continued to take those steps forward the year after I left, and him being a head coach and especially understanding everything down here in Alabama, the state, I know he's a relationship guy, and so he just brings a lot of energy and organizational skills that I know are going to be really important for our program. I think it says a lot about University of Alabama to be able to pull someone like Kane and all the things that he had going for him with the success he's had at South Alabama.
What did you see from Austin Mack that made you want to bring him over here?
Well, I think his skill set and all the tools he brings as a quarterback, the arm talent, but I also just think he's got a really great head on his shoulders. He's young, and for him to do what he did this last year with us, he reclassified and really learned the offense as fast as anyone I've ever seen at that age. And so, he's got to just continue to grow, continue to develop. And I know he's all about those challenges. He sees them as opportunities, and it was exciting for him as well as us to have him come down here.
Coach, your team won the Joe Moore Award. Did your offensive line have a specific physicality in different shapes and sizes? In other words, were they 300-pounders, 350? Are you like them big? You like them quick? How do you like the offensive line?
Yeah, I think we just worked with what we had, and obviously it was a strong group. Multiple, both our right tackle and left tackle are going to be high-end draft picks, and Roger's here at the Senior Bowl and doing a great job. So talent, was in a great spot there, and now it's just a matter of utilizing their strengths, and a lot of it revolved around what your quarterback can do. And with Michael, we were able to protect him, and then I think as the season went along, each and every year, 22 and 23, we developed a run game as the year went along, and that was important for us to win a conference championship. And the game, you always say you wear the pads for a reason, right? And it's meant to be a physical game, and so the heart and soul of what we do, we'll have to rely on that.
You've been in a couple of new places the last couple of years. With your experience the last handful of years, adjusting in the spring to a new place, how quick does it take for everybody to adapt to learn your system?
Yeah, I think first of all, from a coach's standpoint, you just jump all in. And, as far as getting to know the guys and the relationships, and I think that's what you ask of your players too, is to not try to wonder and second guess in any way. And if they embrace what we are going to bring to them, we can make these strides very quickly in the weeks and months ahead throughout spring ball.
So from the time you got the job, what's the roster management been like in terms of guys on the roster and recruiting and future recruiting classes?
I think just with our own roster management, it's really, I think we've done a pretty good job. I know initially when the uncertainty was there and Coach Saban retiring, we lost some guys, and there were some guys that were gone even before that, but maybe it's just a handful since then. And so, I feel really good about where the kind of mindset of the team is at, and they're into workouts and wanting to pull the standard, and can't wait to get I know they can't wait to get what our systems are, the playbooks and all of that. So I think it's just a really good spot, and obviously we got to work for the 25 class while we're also making sure that the guys in the 24 are still with us if they're on campus, or even not with us until this summer. So I think we're in a really good spot. There's some spots that we continue to look for as far as filling in some gaps, and our staff is all hands on deck for those to work towards that goal.
Coach, what was it about Coach Gillespie and Coach Roach that appealed to you as guys to retain?
I think first of all you listen to what the people around the program have to say, and in regards to their relationships with the players, how strong their position groups were, who they were as people, as well as what their impact has been in the recruiting. And man, these guys have been amazing. They helped us keep the team together, I think, through some tough times even before I was hired. I think they had a huge impact on that, and then once I got here, just locking arms with them and trusting them, just like I asked the guys to be all in on me, I was all in on them, and they've been that way as well, and they've allowed us to hit the ground running here these last 2 weeks on the recruiting trail, and I can see very clearly that we made some really good decisions on keeping them here with us at Alabama.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Kalen DeBoer, man. Look, regardless of what side of the fence, you fall on, we got to talk to him a little bit, one-on-one as well. And I tell you what, man, just a guy who he talked about buttoned up, like a guy who knows who he is, talked about, trying to establish his culture while not, losing, what Nick Saban had built culturally and learning off that. I think that's a very intricate balance as well. But David, I know you're there in Nashville, but just getting to talk to him, meeting him in person, seeing the excitement from Kane Womack, the new DC. Freddie Roach was there. Nick Sheridan, your roommate, was there. We got to meet Nick. Yeah. The first thing he said was, "Hey man, you remember that time that you called us soft?" And I was like, "Look, I didn't say y'all were soft. I said I thought Oregon was tougher than y'all." Yeah, and you're welcome for the motivation, honestly.
You're welcome for the motivation. No, he called me yesterday. It's great to talk to Nick. We were in the same class at Michigan, and I said, "Hey, if you're in Mobile, go say hi to the Crane brothers." So I'm glad y'all linked up.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was great, man, and talking with him. I'm excited to see what he does. He's in a very, obviously, interesting spot following the GOAT, the Dark Emperor, Overlord.
It just feels like Alabama's in good hands.
For sure.
Yeah. It really does. Listen to Coach DeBoer talk, and just the way he carries himself. Seems really organized. He seems to know exactly what his program wants.
And you have to have a vision, right? You have to have a vision. You have to know the mission, and he definitely does. But we got Bo Nix should be coming here in about 15 minutes. But David, I wanted to get a couple calls in if we possibly can.
Well, let's get to some calls because I got Matthew on the line in Arkansas. Matthew, talk to us, man. What is going on in Arkansas right now?
What's up, y'all? It is the Heartbroken Hog here, and honestly, no one really knows for sure. I've seen people say that some of these rumors, though, could be plants from other teams.
Okay.
And as far as the coaching search as far as Musselman's coaching, Mike Irwin has come out and said that there are two places Musselman would go to, and that's Arizona State or UCLA, and both those jobs probably aren't coming open this year.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's amazing. Look, when you're losing, it's one thing when you're expected to be losing, and then you're losing, and you maybe have young guys in the locker room, and you're trying to build culture, and you're trying to do all these things. It's another thing when you do it the way Arkansas has, where you bring in a bunch of transfers, and you've made runs in the NCAA tournament. You've established yourself as a team that can go through the transfer portal and have repeat success, have a preseason possible SEC Player of the Year in Trevin Brazil, beat Purdue and Duke, and then just absolutely fall apart. That's when you start seeing things like this kind of come to fruition. Even though I will say, Matthew, I've heard a lot of things that have gone on in the locker room that negatively affect the team. This one, it is just so oddly specific, and we wouldn't give anything credence, and we're not saying this is true, if there wasn't some sort of way that you could look at it and it makes sense.
Well, one thing to keep in mind is something similar did happen with Devo last year in Maui, I believe, or around that time. He did step away from the team and missed 2 or 3 games back then and came back and had the run that he had late in the season. So, I mean, he may still come back. We don't know.
Well, when it comes to
I hope he does.
The other kid who transferred in, Jake, was there anything... He transferred in from Houston, right? Was there anything about why he left that program?
So there was, and look, in the era of the transfer portal, people are leaving left and right, and we know the freedom of it. We've been discussing it, it feels like, for the past 2 years. There were some rumors that I saw that were attached to this story that something was happening in the locker room there with Mark at Houston. I'm not connected into that locker room, but it just kind of adds more fuel to this fire of this supposed triangle that has been causing problems. So again, it could be just blatant BS.
No coach is going to make this up to hurt a locker room.
Well, yeah, I just...
not this. Coming from a guy who's made stuff up to hurt certain locker rooms, you don't make stuff like this.
This is so oddly specific, right? And it's so pointed toward individuals. And we've seen, love triangles where it's, somebody's wife something's happening with another player. We saw, something happened in the NHL where old dude was hooking up with Connor Bedard's mom.
Yeah.
Like I've seen some, but this is different.
And you think, Heartbroken Hog, you think Muscleman?
One of the best parts of the story.
Go ahead.
Y'all left out the part where some Arkansas fans, because the university has been so silent on this, they were messaging the Muscleman's 8th grade kid, asking them for inside information. And Daniela
Muscleman,
Eric's wife, had to come out and tweet at people to stop and say that, disperse that the rumors aren't true, said, everything's fine, basically.
Wow.
But it's gotten pretty ridiculous out here.
Yeah. Well, Matthew, thanks for the update. Yeah, listen, I'm going to go ahead and tell you this. If you're tweeting a coach's 8th grade or child about really anything in general, let's be honest, outside of if you're a family member or a friend or, offering some charitable donation, like that to me is weird in general, but especially when you're tweeting basically a middle schooler about this situation, that you have way more problems than anybody associated with the Arkansas program, in my opinion.
Yeah. Matthew, please call in again, man. Keep us apprised of this situation because you know how much we love Arkansas basketball, man.
I for sure love y'all. Have a good one.
See you, buddy. All right, let's go on.
You think Muscleman would leave for more than Arizona State and UCLA?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It seems like such a we talk about Sam Pittman, such a good fit in Arkansas. Eric Musselman, I mean, the man's taking his shirt off inside of.
Well, everything's a fit when you win.
The mascot.
Everything's a fit when you win.
Yeah, well, I just like it. He's kind of rough and tough. Yeah. The way they play.
It's rough and tough in there.
Yeah. Arkansas is the only team I could see in the past that shoot 29%, score 88 points.
Yeah, and the postseason success that they had, I mean, you can't argue with that. And Muss still rocks the old school J-Boy hoodie, too.
Yeah. Look, Muss said the old J-Boy hoodie is one of his favorite pieces of clothing. That's a ride or die. And you can grab a Crane & Company hoodie. All right, we're going to put the link for the merch in the chat. How about that, PJ? On your P's and Q's over there. Dual threat producer.
We got to get him, we got to get Muss a Booster Club hoodie now that we have one. And Jeff Collins, too.
For sure.
All right, let's go on to...
especially now that Jeffy's at North Carolina.
Let's go on to Brian in Boston. Brian, what's up?
Our guy.
What's up, gentlemen?
From Boston.
Talk to us, Brian.
What's up?
Oh, yes. Well, it's nice to see the Crane boys have a lot of trust in their coworker, giving them the keys to the castle all alone there. Let's see if anything
I'm holding down the fort.
Castle, but definitely not the key to 7-footer Island. He'll never get that.
No, I'm running 7-footer. We've been more profitable than ever, Brian. We're operating at max capacity right now. You see Zach Edey, 30 and 15.
Good God.
We're slowly pushing Blaine out of ownership of 7-footer Island, and we're making deals with guys like Elon Musk and Bezos. We're bringing in Richard Branson, right? We've started to build a bunker underneath 7-foot Island.
He's still getting his kickbacks. We're making you rich, Blaine. What do you care?
Blaine has the
dude, take your 3% and shut up.
I'm sorry about them. Yeah, I'm sorry about them, Brian. Go ahead.
There you go. I love it. So I want to go back to the same theme that kind of carries most of the times I call you guys up, but it's these coaching decisions in the NFL and the reliance on the analytics and the percentages and all that stuff. And we saw it happen again last weekend with Dan Campbell. And it is important to me because it makes me think back to baseball in the early 2000s when my Boston Red Sox were a race and a curse against Blaine's New York Yankees. It was phenomenal, and I hung on every pitch. But what happened to that sport? Billy Bean and Moneyball, a walk is just as good as a hit, launch angles, and all this nonsense. Yeah. And it ruined the sport. I can't watch a baseball game start to finish anymore. It's horrible. And I'm so afraid that that's going to happen in the NFL. I think in these guys hide behind the analytics because then they don't have to make the decision. Oh, I went with the numbers. I played the numbers. Like it's getting out of control.
Yeah, look, I think it's already out of control. Brian, you know how I feel about this. I've been saying the same thing, since this whole Lewis and Clark situation started with when to go for it, when not to go for it. Here's the way I look at it. I want all the information. I want as much information possible to make a decision. But when I do make that decision, it is going to come off feel, because the numbers aren't the only piece of information that go into the calculus of making that decision, especially when you're on the field. You know what George Kittle talked about this. Momentum is a real thing, right? Instinct is a real thing. Understanding where you are in the game and how your guys are playing, being able to look them in the eyes, being able to talk to them on the sidelines and have genuine feel. I would rather go with my gut every single time than pull out some index card that some, 19-year-old that's great with Excel gave me and let that make the decision. Sometimes you go for it because the cause is to go for it. Sometimes you punt it because your feel says you need to punt it. Sometimes you kick the field goal. But to me, there are some things that are concrete, right? Every decision isn't fluid. When you have a chance to go up 3 scores in the second half, you've already eaten 6 minutes of the third quarter, you held them to a field goal when they had to have a touchdown, and you have a chance to go up 3 scores. Common sense says kick the field goal. Not analytics, not just feel, not what your mother whispered to you before you left the house that morning. Common sense. It's becoming less common in real life. Feel like it's becoming less common in decision making. Scared money don't make no money. I've said it a million times. But stupid money doesn't make money either. I would much rather go off feel and with all the information than sit here and look at an Excel spreadsheet that Jonah Hill gave me and make a decision off that.
Absolutely. And the thing that that the spreadsheets and the Jonah Hills don't account for is something called clutch in late. All the analytics, all the tools, they would tell you back in the day that Alex Rodriguez was better than Big Papi, but we all know you'd rather Big Papi come up in a big spot. All the tools, all the analytics
for sure.
told you Peyton Manning was a better quarterback than Tom Brady. But we all know the only quarterback better than Tom Brady is Mr. David Combs. So it's like
you can't. Yeah, that's exactly right. You can't take the human element out of something that humans do.
Yeah.
That you're taking the human element and emotion out of it. You can't do that.
I think a lot of it, to me, I think of it like this. All right. When it comes to analytics and certain numbers, I think about a baseball pitcher. All right. And say you have a guy 1-2, you have a guy 0-2, and the numbers are telling you to throw a backdoor slider. All right. But then the feel kicks in as a pitcher. All right. As a head coach, you got to be able to shake pitches off. All right. You have to go with the pitch that you think is going to strike a guy out. If the numbers are telling you to throw an 0-2 a backdoor slider, but in your head, you're like, you know what? I need to hit this guy with a curveball. All right. You throw the curveball. We're losing feels when it comes to coaching, and you can tell.
I'll give you a great example, Brian. Then we got to move on. Basketball. There's a huge debate when you are up 3 and you are on defense and the other team has the ball and the clock is running out. Mm-hmm. Do you foul them to put them on the line to shoot 2 free throws? I don't know what the numbers say, but that is a true feel call. If you're playing against the Warriors and they've got a bunch of 3-point shooters out there and they've been lighting it up all day, it probably makes sense to foul and have them shoot the 2 free throws with under a second or a second left. If you've got guys that couldn't hit the water if they fell out of a plane into the Atlantic Ocean, you probably let it play out and let your guys play defense. But that is a field call. That's what makes great coaches and bad coaches. It's the guys who can make good decisions off field, because just like great players, just like great business leaders, just like great leaders in general, they make decisions based off instinct, and that's the best way to do it. But, Brian, man, thanks so much, buddy.
Great call, Brian.
Appreciate it, Brian.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we're going to hold on the rest of the calls.
I believe we have
ready for Bo Nix.
Yeah, we got he's getting wired up. Right while Bo's getting wired up, let's go to the Booster Club line.
Let's go to Terry Kirkland. Terry, what is up, my guys? He says, hey, fellas, how do you think Spencer Rattler's doing in Mobile, and who do you think will take Spencer? Go Gamecock.
I think Spencer spun it well. I'm always kind of wary, and I want to actually ask Bo about this when he comes and sits down, because there's not a lot of quarterbacks early in the Senior Bowl, right, looking at practice, because you haven't had enough time to develop this chemistry. A lot of the routes are basic routes. You're not out there doing crazy things. You're not out there getting crazy coverages. But I've watched Spencer, watch his feet, watch his mechanics. The thing I like about Spencer Rattler is, in all honesty, if we're going to look each other in the eyes and tell the truth, he was basically all South Carolina had. You didn't have a run game. You couldn't protect the. It was him, Leggett, and Juice Wells when he was healthy. Honestly, so watching Spencer, I thought he's been a good leader, and I thought he's done a really good job. But speaking about good leaders and doing a really good job, Bo Nix, former Auburn, former Oregon quarterback, now here at the Senior Bowl. What's up, brother?
How you doing?
Good, man. It's good to talk to you again. How's everything going?
Great.
Yeah?
I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I got to talk to your pops yesterday. Saw him in the parking lot a little bit. I know you guys are excited to take that next step. And, man, watching you out there slinging it to some new wide receivers, it's been kind of interesting. And Blaine's got a very interesting.
Yeah, I got a heavy hitter for you, buddy.
He's got a heavy hitter for you. But I want to start kind of with the question we just got asked by one of our audience members. You come to a place where you don't have a lot of chemistry with the wide receivers. I know the routes and stuff are basic. You're working a lot of stuff on air. How long does it take to develop some kind of a rapport with them? Because when y'all go, team, the bullets are flying out there a little bit.
Right.
Not having that chemistry, it can throw you off, both guys, receivers and quarterbacks.
Well, I think it kind of depends, quite frankly, on the the talent, the skill set of the individual. I think some guys, can get in rhythm faster than others, but it's hard to show up and be right on the same page with a receiver, and a receiver be right on the same page with a quarterback. So usually it takes one or two times you do the rep, and then you're good. But in a practice like this where you're splitting reps and you're not quite getting everything with everybody, it could take a little bit longer.
Yeah. And Bo, you have a lot of experience. I mean, we both grew up in football houses, man. I mean, that's what we did. Sat down in front of the TV. Dad explained what this was, what that is. How prepared do you feel as a guy that had the ultimate college experience, that has been in different offenses, that has had to learn new terminology, being able to go up on the interview board now with some of these NFL guys and being able to talk? I mean, you've got to feel so unbelievably prepared.
Yeah, I think, very prepared, probably as prepared as I could be, still have a lot to learn, but it's because of the, I think the things that you just haven't been, introduced to yet. But I'm excited to, learn those terminologies and learn those, different things about maybe how a defense works, or how, a defense prepares, or how defenses may be different from the NFL level from the college level. But realistically, being in college for 5 years, I've been able to learn a lot and just experience a lot. I think that's one of the main reasons why I've been able to accumulate a lot of football knowledge.
It's all football now. No school, none of that anymore. It's all football now.
All right, Bo. Look, we're deep down. We're both Auburn guys. We know. So I feel like we're tight. You can be honest with me. All right. Is Sam Hartman better looking than me?
Well, I've heard a lot of. Just hanging out with Sam all week, I've heard a lot of comments about
I bet. He's heard about this. Everybody yesterday at Media Day, all the players were like, yeah, man. Only the one, we coached Kyrie.
All we've heard.
JUCO.
Really?
So we know Kyrie. Kyrie's the only one he said he wasn't because he's being nice.
Every time I see there's white doves flying behind him.
It's really funny you say that, because that's the running joke we have.
I knew it. On a serious note, real quick, this is one thing I want to know from you. How much has faith played in a role as being, a football player, quarterback, and just being yourself?
It's played, the biggest role in my life. It's allowed me to put everything in perspective at a time to where, you could have said, it was a tough moment or adversity hit or something like that. It was never like the end of the world. I was able to just bounce back and just continue to go and continue to compete and, find the next best step to move forward or get better or whatever it may be. But I think just my faith allowed me to look past the game of football and see the bigger picture and understand that football is just something very small in the game of life. But it's something that we enjoy to do. It's something that we, work hard to do, and it's something that we want to be our best at. But at the end of the day, the sun's going to come up the next day and you're going to move on. And football is just a very small part of your life, like they were mentioning the other day. If you stop playing football at the age of 30, which is a long career, for most people that would say it's a long career, you got a long life after that.
Yeah.
And you got a lot to do, a lot of it, things built, and you could use football to build up a lot and lay a great foundation and, have great relationships and, do well for yourself. But after that, you got to, move on. And football, is a great outlet for guys who have talents and who have a passion for it to get started and to do something that they love doing. But it runs out for everybody. So I think that's where the faith comes in, because the sooner you understand that, I think the sooner you learn that, the easier, going through it, the easier the hard times are, the easier it is to just continue to move forward, because it's not all you got. It's not your identity, that we would say. But, you got to understand that life is about more than football and wins and losses.
Really well put.
Very well put.
Tony?
Bo, congratulations on breaking the completion percentage mark, man. That's a heck of a feat. And I've always said, that's a more important stat to me than just going out and throwing for a bunch of yards, because when you're letting the ball fly and you're completing it at that high of a clip, it really is impressive. So congrats on that. We followed your career. We watched you play a lot of football at Auburn, watch you play a lot of football now at Oregon. I accidentally created an online firestorm last year when Jalen Hurts made it to the Super Bowl, saying that he is a former Alabama quarterback as well as an Oklahoma quarterback. Are you, moving forward, when you play for an NFL team here shortly, are you going to diplomatically claim both Auburn and Oregon, or are you going to move forward and say, look, this is the school I last played for, and I'm an Oregon Duck?
Well, I'll always be an Oregon Duck. That's one thing that, fortunately for me, I was able to go and spend 2 incredible years there. So I'm going to claim, Oregon for as long as I can. But at the same time, I graduated from Auburn too. So I get to claim that part of it too. And I spent a lot of, games at Auburn too. So I think it's respectful and okay to, to claim both. But obviously when you're doing announcements and stuff, right now I'm from Oregon because that's the most recent one. It's kind of like when you grow up, I moved around a lot as a kid. So I don't say I'm from Charleston, even though I lived in Charleston for 4 years. I just say the most recent, high school that I was at, and that's Pinson, Alabama. So I'm from Pinson Valley High School, and then now I'm from Oregon. But, I can always hold Auburn in my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
all right. I got one more for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, David.
No. I was just going to say, we get call-ins from all across the country. You got fans everywhere, man.
Yeah.
For sure.
Awesome.
All right. Last question. Dan Lanning. Now, when I watch Dan, he seems like a guy you really want to play for. You look at the way he talks, the way he carries himself. Pre-game speech-wise, he's got to be up there, man. Just talk about what it was like as a player, as a man playing for Dan Lanning, knowing what you're going to have to go out there and do, and the way he was able to tap in, the way that Kirby taps in, right? The way that the ones who know how to, the real ones, the genuineness of it. You can tell when a guy is up there, rah, 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 whatever. It seems like Dan, though, he's telling you the real stuff.
Yeah, he's one of the best teachers, motivators, coaches. He's one of the best I've been around when it comes to his job. What is his job is to lead a group of men to go win games, and he's really good at that. And he's got a lot on his plate, especially nowadays with what college football looks like. But I think he's navigated it and had a plan way before it happened. And he's just extremely smart, and he thinks ahead. And I think that's one of the things that makes him great is his instincts, is his ability to think out of situations. And not only was he a great motivator, and his pregame speeches were awesome, and they could get anybody going, but it was genuine. And like you said, it was like, that's what we had talked about all week. So that's how he motivates all week. Y'all don't see him Tuesday when he's motivating us after practice, challenging us every day. But he always had some kind of really good one-liner at the end of every speech, and I swear he practiced it all week. Because it rolled off of his tongue really nice. Yeah. And then it just kind of got us all jacked and ready to roll. Like, whatever the theme, he would have something along, and it would kind of hit and make sense, and it would click to all of us. But no, that's just who he is. That's the passion that he has. He recruits with that same passion. He lives life with that same passion. He coaches with the same passion. He teaches. He wants relationships with that same passion. Like, he's an all-in type of guy. He goes in, everything he does, and he does it as hard as he can do, for the people around him. And I think he's put so many people in a better situation, including myself. He took me, gave me a better situation. And, he does that for a lot of guys. A lot of coaches that are on his staff, they're going to go off and have better situations. A lot of players, he's going to have a lot of NFL guys. And then have a lot of guys that when they get out of the sport are going to have success because of the foundation that he's laid. And I got a lot of respect for Coach, and I'm always thankful that I can claim him as my head coach because of the things that we went through and the relationship that we had. But we went through a lot together, but he always had my back, and that was one of the cooler things from a player-coach relationship that I could have had and experienced.
Well, man, real recognize real at the end of the day. But, Bo, congratulations, man. It's been a pleasure to watch you, grow as a person and as a player, and it's culminated up to this point where you're at the Senior Bowl, brother, playing quarterback. Congratulations.
I appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
Definitely.
Thanks
Bo,
for having
we're
me.
talking to you again, watching you on Sundays. Bo Nix, Oregon quarterback, but also Auburn too. So, Bo, we appreciate it. We appreciate you guys so much. All right, Blaine, let's get to the Booster Club here quickly and let Bo get on for the rest of his day, which I know is going to be packed to the brim full.
All right, let's go to AK. What is up, my brother? He says, Auburn and OSU claiming quarterbacks. This doesn't make sense. If you're an Alabama fan, all right, you cannot claim Jalen Hurts after he went to Oklahoma. Look, I don't care what anybody says to me, all right, I'm claiming Bo Nix at Auburn.
Well, you got to pick one or the other. This is my whole point. You either say, okay, if you ever played there, you always played there and you're from there, or if you leave there, then it's you can't claim them. You got to pick one or the other at some point.
The Jalen Hurts one was always weird to me because he won a national championship there and he graduated from there. I mean, if
you're going to say the graduated thing, though, I don't know, man. I still feel like even though you graduated from there, like you got to pick one or the other.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know. Maybe that's just me, David.
Yeah,
maybe that's just me. But tell you, a guy I always pick. All right, it's our friend Jim Nagy. I know, Code. It's tough for you to see right now. The guy who runs the operation. This is the best way I can put it. The molder of the Senior Bowl week. The creator of a first class, and it gets better every year, Jim. It really does. You guys find a way. You're like a great chef. Like maybe you added a little bit more butter this year or whatever. It just always gets better year after year. Our buddy Jim Nagy. Jim, number one, thanks for having us. And my friend, this roster you guys have this year is as loaded as I can remember.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming. I mean, you guys add you add to the production here, man. It's awesome. That's what we're trying to create. So appreciate the nice words you said. The roster, I mean, we're really happy with it. We've had a lot of scouts on the road this fall working really hard at this, but I say this, it should be the best roster we've had because now we can bring the underclassmen. So you basically lop off about 20 guys off the bottom end of the roster in a typical year. And those guys are like, middle to late round picks. And then you replace them up at the top in the first three or four rounds with some, 20 good juniors. It's going to look like a better roster.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's trim the fat a little bit, I think is the best way to put it. And going into that calculus and that decision, were you guys talking about this, years before and then decided, hey, this is the year to do it? Or was it, hey, we have an opportunity now to do it, so let's do it? Kind of how did that come about?
Yeah, it wasn't even our decision. It was it's the league office. So the 32 teams have wanted the underclassmen in the game for a long, long time. Right. The league office has always been resistant to it. They have the quote unquote free feeder system of college football.
Yep.
And I don't think the league ever wanted to upset the apple cart. And with so much going on in college football right now that you guys talk about all the time, portal, NIL, all that. At this point, juniors coming out and playing in an all-star game, it's not a big deal. So the great thing was we had conversations with the league in August. They kind of gave us a heads up, and then they announced it in November. So a lot of people were like, whoa, did that catch you off guard? No, it didn't catch us off guard. Our scouts were out all fall looking at juniors. We built the board with the juniors. So it was really once a decision was made, okay, now we can act on it. So it was easy.
Jim, a couple of things here. I need to get your honest answer.
Yeah, this is a big one, Jim. This is a big one.
One, what made you want to bring Sam Hartman here? And two, do you think he's better looking than me?
I don't know. I'm kind of second guessing my decision to bring Sam Hartman here because now my 15-year-old daughter is infatuated with this guy.
I saw him breaking stone with his jaw.
So every year, it's so funny. I shouldn't be talking about, but so 3 years ago, my daughter thought Kenny Pickett was really
Yeah.
Okay.
Cute, right?
Yeah.
So she got a picture with him post game with Kenny Pickett. Last year it was Max Duggan.
Oh.
This year it's Hartman, and she said she goes, Dad, what's the deal with quarterbacks? I said,
hey,
it's
look,
something, man.
Look,
It's
cone nose. Water.
Oh yeah,
Cone in the water.
You got
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
6'7". Yeah,
Quit smiling.
dude, I've never seen him sweat. We didn't
Yeah.
think he's from here, Jim. To be honest with you.
But Jim, on a serious note, and we ask these players, we ask a lot of people here, what the Senior Bowl means to them. What does the Senior Bowl mean to you?
well, it means a lot because I've been in Mobile for 17 years now, and I'm not from here. It's my wife's hometown, so we moved here. When my son was a year old, when I was scouting in the NFL. That's a really rough life. Like everyone thinks the NFL and scouting is real glamorous. Trust me, it's not.
Yeah.
Like you're on the road 200 nights a year, living and staying in Fairfield.
Like minor league baseball.
Yeah. So it's hard on a family.
Yeah.
It's hard on a family. So we moved here because of that, and this game means everything to our community. I mean, you guys have been down here. I mean, we have Mardi Gras, we have the Senior Bowl. And again, there's a lot of haves and have-nots in Mobile, Alabama. I mean, there's a lot of people that struggle. And to have the economic impact that this has on our week during the game, I mean, upwards of $40 million, into our community, at the restaurants and bars and hotel, it's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean,
you take that out of here. That's a big deal, and it's also a point of civic pride. There's 32 NFL cities, and they have the teams. Other than that, we're the only city in America that has an NFL event.
Yeah.
So it's a huge deal, man. It means a lot, and that's why we've worked really hard as a staff to grow this thing. Like you said, every year we try to add something to it. But it's really important to me personally.
Yeah. Davey?
Hey, Jim, that 1983 quarterback class is sort of the gold standard over time, right? With Elway and Marino and Jim Kelly. I mean, this year, when you talk about the extra COVID eligibility that guys have gotten, and you see these guys coming out at the quarterback position, the amount of football played from just Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix, Sam Hartman, those guys you're talking about alone is incredible. Is this going to be the deepest quarterback class that we see come out for the NFL draft?
That's a great question. I think what's really cool about this class is they've all played a ton of ball. I mean, even like Michael Pratt's a 4-year starter at Tulane, and he's the only 4-year guy on the roster. Spencer Rattler has played a ton of college football. So these guys are going into the league with a lot of snaps. And for a league right now in the NFL that's not really developmental, they'll throw you to the wolves now, and you got to know how to play. I think I had to think about this too, because we didn't invite Brock Purdy to the Senior Bowl a couple years ago. He was kind of our next guy up. And the league has had to do this. Like, why did Brock Purdy slip, right? And I just keep going back to the guy had like 47 career starts. He's seen it. He's done it. He knows how to play the quarterback position. There's something to be said for that, and this class has that. So, David, it's a great question. We'll see. I think there's as many as 5, maybe 6 that could go in the first round.
Wow.
And then you got a guy like Michael Pratt, man. He's the sneaky one to me. I think he's going to be an NFL starter. I do. I think there's going to be, he's going to be one of those guys that emerges. And Rattler's the other guy that, like, when you talk to people around the league, I think the league is higher on Rattler than the media is right now. So, no, it's a great question. It is a really good class. It's going to be fun to see where this thing tracks when we get to April.
Yeah. Spencer's a guy, and David, I was watching him throw yesterday. I mean, he just has so much easy power in that arm. I mean, it looks like he's effortless throwing the ball and the way he spins it. And then Michael Pratt made some throws. Those in-between throws, Michael Pratt's really good at.
Yeah, great
being
feel.
Able to
great
take
touch,
some off. He's got really good feel. But, Jim, last question. When you look at the way that you brought up the NFL's kind of throwing these young guys out there, we're seeing that in the coaching ranks too. Mike Macdonald gets the job at the Seahawks. Do you feel like there's kind of a changing of the guard that's going on in the NFL right now as kind of coaches get younger? You look at Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins. I mean, I can go down the list.
Yeah.
It's Carroll's out. Belichick's out. It's kind of interesting.
I'll just say football in general is becoming a younger man's game and profession. Even in scouting, when I got into scouting 25 years ago, I'm dating myself, but I would show up at a school and I'd be there with a couple 65 to 75-year-old retired college coaches that wanted to get into scouting when they were done coaching. That as soon as laptops were introduced,
when the Dewey Decimal System stopped being used in the library,
they would literally be at the school, handwrite reports as they're watching the tape. At the end of the week, throw them in a manila folder and send them into the team. So, but no. Back to your question. I think everything's getting younger. It's very demanding. I mean, think about college football right now, and these guys got to keep up on social media and recruiting, and they're on their phones all the time. guys, even I'm 49. Like I wouldn't want to be doing that.
No,
at my age. I mean, not 50s and 60s.
No, hell
not.
No.
So it's just getting younger, and that's trickling down to the NFL.
Yeah. Well, Jim, again, man, thanks so much for having us. It's such an unbelievable time we have down here. We look forward to it all the time. Hit up Bluegill last night. Jim Nagy, executive director of the Senior Bowl.
Hell of a job.
Big time scout, does an unbelievable job, and it's always so much fun coming down here, brother. I need one of those hats.
Thank you, guys. Hey, David, go blue, man.
Hey,
go blue. We did it, Jim. Against all odds, man.
All right, man. Well, Jim, thanks so much. We appreciate you guys. Let's get to donos quickly.
Yes. Let me get to these donos really quickly. Let's start off with Steve's Trading Card Frenzy $10 donation. Steve, I want an action figure of myself.
Yes. Steve. You make action figures.
Make me an action figure of myself, Steve. Can we do a right and wrong segment about who you've seen at the Senior Bowl? Like, who do you know was going to shine as someone who's surprised you with their effort?
Yes.
We watched a kid last night.
Dude, Virginia State. He's from Virginia State. And then we talked to him immediately yesterday. I'm telling you.
Locking.
This dude, he's Azkaban.
Up.
Like, dudes are disappearing in the fireplace.
Okay, let's get to, I believe that is all the donations today. I read multiple earlier. Yes, that is. We'll get to the poll. Today's poll. I can't remember who came up with it, but I like it. Who would make a better NCAA president? David? Jake? Or Ma?
Put me in charge. I'm shutting it down. I'm shutting the whole thing down.
No, they're going to say Cone probably. I'm going to say me, 48%.
Okay.
Me, Dave? Put me in charge. 90%.
All right. I guess I can't really say anything. All right. David, 52%.
Oh, slight majority.
Blaine, 28%. Jake, 20%.
Bullshit. No. Y'all going to put Blaine in front of in the show. In the show. God, I thought y'all were smarter than that. We'll be sold to the Chinese in 6 years. Y'all do that. Yeah.
Guess what? We're already at war.
We're all Chinese now.
You'll be speaking Chinese
we're already
in 6 years.
Yeah. David, you can never be Chinese.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Chat, good job. Make sure you go grab some merch. Bo Nix, thanks. Jim Nagy, one of the best in the business. Appreciate you joining us. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Got some great content we're releasing later today as well. And also, make sure you check us out live for Flamin' Dragon Friday from Mobile. May get some flamin' oysters. That sounds pretty good. All right, we appreciate y'all. And like the chances of y'all being right about that poll, we're gone.